Hi friends, I'm Salim Masani. I work with CloudThat as a cloud solutions architect. My experience is around 15 years and it spreads across IT infrastructure, service delivery and cloud computing. Last 5 years I have been working with cloud computing and my certifications include MCSA 2003, Windows 2008 Hyper-V, System Center, ITR Prince 2 and AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional. In this video, I will be sharing my experience with AWS certification and I will also be sharing some tips and tricks to clear the exam.
Before we jump into exam preparation, let me introduce you all to available certification tracks with Amazon. AWS offers 3 separate certification tracks, that is under Architecting, Developing and Operations. You have AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, you have AWS Certified Developer Associates, that's under Developing, and you have AWS Certified SysOps Administrator Associate under Operations. Amazon also offers next level of certification, that is Professional. So under Architecting, you have AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional, and you have a common certification under Developing and Operations, that is AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional. Additionally, you have specialty certifications, which includes Advanced Networking and Big Data. If you are preparing for your professional level certification, you should have already cleared your associate level certification, and you need at least 2 years of work experience to understand and respond to various scenario-based questions which will come in exam. Below are the exam objectives, and we'll discuss all these objectives one by one. High availability and business continuity. You can expect scenario-based questions which will test your knowledge around deployments which need to withstand an availability zone versus an entire region failure. So you need to understand different kind of DR scenarios like pilot light, forms done by high availability, that is your active case scenarios. You may also have questions which will have RTO and RPO requirements, and you may have to select appropriate services to achieve the same. This section will test your knowledge on availability limits of various services, such as an ABS volume which cannot withstand an availability zone failure, whereas S3 can, as it is a regional service and replicates its data across multiple availability zones. Costing. I found this topic relatively easier to respond in exam. You can expect scenario-based questions on consolidated billing and benefits from it. You need to understand how tagging can be helpful with billing. Be ready to answer questions on cost optimization for EC2 instance. Question will say your EC2 instance is consuming 5% of its memory at peak, and what kind of instance you need to select for cost saving. To respond to such questions, you need to be aware of different family types and their name conventions. You also need to understand different pricing models, that is reserved, on demand and spot. You will have case scenarios around it from this section. Another exam objective is deployment management, which I found a bit difficult to respond in exam. Now that's my personal experience. Questions around it had deployments could be achieved using any of the deployment solutions, that is CloudFormation, OpsWorks, Elastic Beanstalk, and you must select the most suitable options to respond in exam. You also need to understand deployment models, which is blue-green deployment and rolling deployments. You will have case scenarios around it. Network design. This section requires you to understand all VPC components, which includes subnetting, network ACLs, security groups, and route tables. You need to understand the difference between NAT instance and NAT gateway. You will also get questions on subnetting and IP reservation by AWS. There can be a direct question on these topics. You also need to understand case scenarios involving VPN, Direct Connect, and VPC peering. You can get questions involving Direct Connect and VPC service endpoints. You also need to understand how dynamic routing can be done using BGP. Data storage. This topic again was comparatively easier to respond in exam. You need to understand different storage options with S3. You can expect questions on storage gateway. For EBS volumes, you need to understand different types of EBS volumes, that is your general purpose and provisioned IOPS. You can expect case scenarios involving RAID 0 and RAID 1 with EBS volumes. You can get case scenarios with backup of ephemeral storage using TRBD. You also need to be aware of automated and manual snapshots for RDS and case scenarios involving read replica. Security. Again, this section I found it a bit easier to respond in exam. You need to understand case scenarios where AD connector can be used. You will have at least 2 to 3 questions on security token service. This will involve federated for corporate users that use Active Directory, or federation for web identity providers like Google and Facebook. We'll also have case scenarios involving cross-account access. There will be questions involving auditing and monitoring, so you need to understand CloudThat and CloudWatch to respond to such questions. You can also expect a question around IPS and IDS deployment on AWS, and a question on mitigation of DDoS attack with importance of WAF around it is also common. You also need to understand HTTPS versus SSL listeners for ELB. Scalability and elasticity. In this section, you'll get case scenarios with DynamoDB and SQS buffering. You can get case scenario for hosting static website, for video distributions using S3 and CloudFront. For this, you need to understand 2 different distribution protocols offered by CloudFront. You also need to understand case scenarios where Cognito can be used over federation for web users. You can expect case scenarios involving multiple services like DynamoDB, SQS, SNS, ELB, Kinesis, and CloudFront. Cloud migration and hybrid architecture. In this section, you can expect questions around storage gateway. You need to understand gateway stored volumes and gateway cached volumes. You will also have questions involving VPN and Direct Connect. Question may say your VPN is connected and how you are going to cut over traffic to Direct Connect, which is newly being installed. You will also have case scenarios where you need to set up read replica for your DB which is running on premises. You can also expect case scenarios where VM export import is required. So friends, exam is overall quite challenging. You get around 170 minutes to respond to 80 questions. I had 77 in my exam. 90% of these questions are scenario based questions and you need to respond to them within 2 minutes. That's very challenging. So my advice is, in case it's a very lengthy question and you cannot understand within 2 minutes, select a random answer, just mark it for review and proceed. If you spend too much time behind a single question, you can get in trouble in the exam. Besides, in associate level, out of 4 choices, 1 would be completely incorrect, 1 would be partially incorrect, and you might have to select the most relevant from other 2 correct options. But in professional, you may come across all 4 possible correct answers and you might have to select the most appropriate solution. That makes things very challenging. There are lots of logs which have exam-like questions, but they may not have the correct answers. You could refer to those, plus please use your intellect to understand the correct answers. Go through Amazon Architecture website and all possible re-event videos. If you have any questions for me, you can leave it in comment section. We'll try to answer those for you. Additionally, professional help can be useful. CloudThat Technologies is a consulting and a training company. We conduct training programs for associate level as well as professional certification. in all three tracks, which is architecture, developing and operations. For further details, you could visit our website on www.cloudthat.in or reach out to our sales on sales@cloudthat.in. Thank you for watching my video and best of luck for your exam.